If they don't see two triggers, if they don't see two crits, that's why. They saw two. Hey yo, how's it going everyone? Entropy here today with another video. Today we're gonna be doing a deck profile for one of the two event clans of the season for global, and that is Nubatama. So I'm quite interested in both. I'm personally more leaning towards Tachikaze personally. But you know, RNG give it and RNG take it, and sometimes you don't get to choose what you want to play. Luckily, I actually found Nubatama quite fun, and with the right kind of setup, it can be quite devastating. So I guess let's talk about my list and see how it works. So I think with the new support, there really isn't a lot of new units, but it's more than enough. I think some support is better than no support. And so what do we have here? I think overall you might recognize most of these units, less so grade 2, grade 3s, but let's start from the starter. We have the Stealth Beast Kuroko, which says Rearguard Circle when the attack this unit boosted hits a Vanguard, so blast 2, put 2 cards from your drops up bind zone into their drop zone. This card is solid. It basically lets your bind skills become retire skills. Soul Blast 2 might be hefty, but if you use this skill early game, it could actually help you fuel your Legion. So that is a form of utility that you can consider pairing up with some units that bind earlier into the game. Next up for the grade 1s, we are playing 4 Fukis, probably the best grade 1 in this deck. When your opponent has 3 or more cards, Caramelist 1, put this into your zone, bind 1. Helps you fuel the cost and drop zone skill with Kuroko, as well as just ping out cards when you're trying to push for a game. Next up, we play 4 Dread Masters. It's the on boost, on hit. Caramelist 2, have your opponent discard a card from their hand at the start of your opponent's next turn. It's fine. The deck isn't that Caramelist heavy, so Dread Master definitely has its place. You can see that we're not playing the grade 3 counterpart anymore. We have better grade 3 options now that Legion came around, and we got 2 new boss units. So Dreadmaster is still there. It's alright. Not very heavy on Caramelist, so it still has its place, and honestly there just really isn't any other contenders in the grade 1 slot. Next we play 4 of the new PG, even though this was from the Break Ride era. From the new set we have old PGs. So with the additional activation condition, I like this one more because we play 5 LB4 units, 4 break rides, and one LB4 break ride target unit. And also the deck doesn't really need to hold off on damage. It's fine. So this PG works for me. I know some lists out there, I think most lists out there play the old, or well, yeah, it's a bit confusing. The PG with the white picture. Find what works for you. This one works better for me, so that's why I'm playing this. Because we have LB4 units, so that's my justification. And lastly, we will play 1 Hagakure. So this was a grade 0 in the TCG. Now it's a grade 1. It's on place instead of on boost on hit. You know, which one's better? Dreadmaster is better. Do you have other better grade 1 choices? Not really. It's all right. It's all right. It does what it needs to do. Caramelist 2, you know, again, deck doesn't really counterblast much, so it's fine. It's fine. For the grade 2s, we are playing 4 Tamahagene. So this card is still one of the MVPs of the deck. Basically, kind of like a pseudo desert gunner. Helps you ping out a card. Helps you go face one more time if you're pinged out an intercept. Help you, you know, have something to sack with Kuroko, for example. Next, we play 4 Shura Stealth Dragon Murasame Kongo. These names are getting progressively harder to pronunciate. When placed on Rearguard Circle, so this is a typo that got me scratching my head when I was trying to play this when the event just came out. When placed on Rearguard Circle, if you're in Legion, discard a card from your hand to add grade 3 Shura Stealth Dragon, which is basically all your grade 3s from your deck to your hand. If you add it, you can put a card from your opponent's bind zone to the drop zone, and if you do, it gets +2. So, you know, if you use like a Tamahagene before you played this out, then you know you can become an 11k beater and get rid of that unit for free. And of course, ditching something to add grade 3 might not sound good because you're essentially adding a grade 3 trigger. But Legion rewriting is solid, and we do have a Persona Blast unit, so that's quite nice. It synergizes quite well, and it's also a Legion mate, so that's nice. We play one Stealth Rogue of Departed Soul, Toranaga. Rigor Circle, Soul Blast 1 plus 1k. Doesn't sound that good, really isn't that good, but being able to Soul Blast early on means that you can kind of guarantee or make your Legion play, if you're going second, a lot more smoother. You know, this deck can rely on the Break Ride since we're playing it, but personally I don't like having to go onto the Break Ride. Sometimes going into the Legion first is better, but the deck doesn't really have, you know, units like 5k, Soul Blast 2, draw a card, and stuff like that, so it has to kind of rely on units like this, and that's okay. It helps you hit numbers, and it's Soul Blast 1 at a time, so you can actually kind of control what you're trying to get out. And lastly, we play 4 Shura Stealth Dragon, Darani Kongo, another hard to pronunciate name. This card is probably the second best grade 2 we have. Rear Circle, when this unit attacks Vanguard, if you're in Legion, +2, 11k beater, very nice. And when this unit hits a Vanguard, if you're in Legion, Soul Blast 1 to put 2 cards from your opponent's bind zone to the drop zone. So it's basically 11k beater, cheaper version of Kuroko, and works by itself, assuming your Vanguard's in Legion, which should be most of the games. So that's 2 thumbs up for me, and also Legion mate for 2 of your Vanguard, so that's really valuable. Next, we play for the Break Ride, which says when you Break Ride +10, bind something at random from your opponent's hand, and then they discard something at the start of the turn. And if your opponent has 3 or less cards in your hand, +3k, so it's 14k beater. It's all right. It can help, especially if you have that momentum early game and you push for damage fast, and you see your draw triggers and you think you can wait out for that turn. Overall though, you know, some lists play this as draw. I find this as heal. I prefer going into Legion first. The deck can't really compensate for playing too fast, and so you have to play smart. And the Legion skills actually help you kind of edge out your opponent more so than the Break Ride. The Break Ride turn, if you're behind on damage, is a bit, it's a desperate play with not a very hopeful outcome, not very good prospects. We play 1 Yazakuri Kongo, used to be our main ride target, Break Ride target. It's okay, kind of requires a lot, Cam Last 1, discarding a card, and if your opponent has 4 more cards, but it binds 2, and that can be really devastating. It also has that Soul Blast 2, Cam Last 1 skill, that can definitely help. Next, we play 4 Hokage Kongo, which is the main namesake of the deck, Legions with both the Legion mates, as I mentioned. When Legion bind one of your opponent's rearguards and return it to their hand at the end of the turn, might not sound like really good. Might not sound like a lot. It basically is just a Tamahagane skill, but it means that you can clear out the field. You can clear those intercepts and kind of force your opponent to take a few more hits to the face, maybe. Vanguard Circle, if you have another unit in the middle column, Soul Blast 1 to get +2 until end of turn, you will notice that, you know, when you Legion, you're at 20k. Soul Blast 1 can hit 22, which is magic numbers. In addition, sometimes you want to Soul Blast Legion, and that definitely does help. So if you do think that you need that extra Soul Blast to actually hit your Legion numbers, and you can Soul Blast 1 multiple times, remember to, you know, consider placing your starter or another grade 1 unit in the back row and invest in it. Lastly, we play 4 Shura Stealth Dragon, Mandara Kongo. This is your big Legion, this is your big play. It Legions with only Darani Kongo. Vanguard Circle, if you're in Legion, discard a card with the same name, so Persona Blast, whether that's the grade 3 or the grade 2, bind one of your opponent's rearguard, and if your opponent has 4 more cards in their hand, bind 2 random from your hand, and return those to their hand at the end of the turn. Doesn't matter if you're returning those when your opponent's at 6 damage, because they're not playing anymore. Only tell them to pack their bags and head out. But this card is really strong. It's definitely really quite devastating. And it's why we play stuff like Murasame Kongo at 4, because I think that, you know, if you have the right conditions, if you can just search it out and then Persona Blast, it's quite strong, and can push your game really hard. And mind you, this is not once per turn, so you can actually activate this multiple times a turn. So even if you can't discard or bind 2 cards from your opponent's hand, you can still guarantee that bind 1 card from your opponent's board skill, and clear those intercepts and just go for face, and could be a 3 to 6 split, maybe. And lastly, if you have another unit in the middle column, it gets +3, so it helps you hit those 23k numbers without having to Soul Blast or whatnot. So kind of a long explanation, but another tip is that because you can Legion with 2 different mates for this unit, some lists only play Darani Kongo and don't really play a lot of Murasame Kongos. I do want to prioritize, you know, Legioning with this unit, because it's less valuable overall. Mandara Kongo kind of needs either itself or Dorani Kongo, and I'd rather have this left in my deck so I could maybe draw into it and Persona Blast one more time, and that makes going for game much easier. So that's basically my list. I guess without further ado, let's go into game and stop boring you with my my chit chat. So let's get started with a game or two. Honestly, again, as I said just now, Nubatama, not one of the decks that I was very looking forward to particularly, but honestly it has been really fun and quite surprising. If things go well according to plan, it could be quite devastating. So let's go into a game. This is Narukami, could be Brawlers, could be Eradicators, could be Brawl, I don't know. But I think we're pretty comfortable with this hand. I don't really want to mulligan aggressively. Grade 1, Grade 2, Grade 3 have a PG, pretty solid against Brawler, honestly. And the starter, generally speaking, I do like it behind the Vanguard. The reason being, we do have some bind skills on attack. I do think it's only one. But it does mean that if I do use that unit, then I have extra bind options before I have to commit to Soul Blasting. Sometimes attack with Vanguard is last, and what that means is the critical can't really proc because your opponent's at 5 damage. But, you know, at that point, I guess you're going for game anyways, so. But I do see merits in considering placing it in the rearguard columns. Consider your hand on what you're trying to do. So here we have the two of the Mandara Kongo, which means that we have a Persona Red target. We do have Kujikiri Kongo, which does allow us to Break Ride and make a splash. So let's see which one we want to go to. Again, deck is decently flexible. We can decide when we get to our grade 3 turn. So here we hit a draw trigger, which is fantastic. Shuts down the other column. And here, what are we gonna ride? I guess we're gonna ride this. This? It's fine. It's fine, it's fine. Alright, I'm gonna call out the Tonanaga, which I am going to. So last one again. 10k2, and actually hit the 10k. Really rare instance where you wanted to use it to actually hit numbers, but I guess it happened. I guess it happened. Swing. Crit. Interesting. No trigger. It's okay, we saw one just now already. That defensive is probably bigger than an offensive trigger. So, alright, here we go. What is our opponent going to go into? None of them are active before Legion, I believe. So, we're safe for this turn. Maybe next turn we have to commit some back row. Just to prepare against Shotgun Blow. But other than that, I think we're quite solid. Alright, Wild Rush. Does this need to be in Legion? If you were in Legion, yes it does. Alright, so we're not going to be randomly sniped by crits. They are playing crits, which scares me. Desert Gunners too. Really high roll Brawlers. First time I've seen something like this. Chuckles, I'm in danger for playing new PGs, Break Ride era PGs. Alright, we have two of these. I think a Break Ride play could be solid. Nothing to Legion back really. Let's go into the Break Ride play. And one of the good things about the 9 Soul Blast 1 plus 10 is, I guess when you Break Ride you can Soul Blast the heal trigger now, I guess. Not that big on my priority list, but it is a situation, I guess so. Alright, let's just swing with Vanguard first. Alright, draw triggers. Nice. Alright, very good. Tamagane. Crit. Gauntlet Buster. So it's a very high roll crit generation. Desert Gunner YOLO deck, I guess. With this guy, which I don't know. Maybe I'd play another starter if it's that emphasizing high rolly, but who am I to judge? We're playing some jank stuff anyways. Alright, so here they have the grade 2. They don't even have the resources to actually Legion, which is a bit sad, but happy for me. because I don't have to deal with Hyrule stuff. Calling on the PG, the BM, the desperate play, giving us the Legion, and putting us to 4 if they don't see 2 triggers, if they don't see 2 crits. That's what they saw 2 triggers. Okay. We saw a trigger. Okay. Beautiful heal. Beautiful heal. Sometimes I should just like. Alright, should we break right here? If we break right, what happens? We dump the last card, we combine that, we go 3 damage. Not that big. Not that big actually. Not that big. Do we have much that we want to Legion back? No, not really. Maybe we want to hold it for next turn. Maybe we want to hold it for next turn. Tamahagane. Not really want to bind anything. I don't want to give them back the this is tough. I guess we're gonna do this. I really don't want to be giving back our opponents the Desert Gunner to actually ignore our intercept, or the PG to PG. So yes, they know what they're doing. They're playing around the Tamahagane and the bind plays. So here it's okay. We're just gonna control the board. We're just gonna play solid, chill. Next turn's our break ride turn. Break ride +10 Legion. Start binding stuff. Works fine. I think it works fine. We have 2 PGs. We're still in the safe zone. Putting back the Desert Gunner instead of the PG. You know how Hyrule and YOLO this player is. Mad respects, I guess. First time I came across something like this again. So. If this was like something like my first game in the morning or like right before I sleep, I'd be spooked. I'd be spooked. Alright, so they don't have access to actually hit to our Vanguard, so that's nice. Draw trigger. If they were attacking Vanguard, they would have got that extra 10k and a crit, which would have called for lethal, especially. And one in the game we didn't have PG. So let's break right in Mandra Congo. These units I don't think showed up in the anime, so there's no animation, which is a shame. We bind that. Is that a PG? Oh man, that's big. That is a PG. It's huge. Alright, so let's Legion. Let's put those triggers back. Put the mate back. So we can Persona Blast. Is it necessary? That's the question. Not really. I don't think it's that necessary. I think I can do this. And we're not exactly calling for game. Not yet. But we're basically grinding them out. I think at this point we're just grinding them out. Which is really rare. Sometimes you just want to go for game. But at the rate of them seeing triggers and us playing solidly, I think we're fine. We're solidly fine. We're just gonna use the starter, get rid of the PG so they can't keep it, and get rid of the Desert Gunner as well. So stall it out, burn down their resources, and I think that should be game. But even if they Hyrule, we have a PG to protect us. I think it's good. All right, PG. Draw trigger? Alright. So we're just gonna bind. Just gonna call up the grade 2s to help us just in case. And we're gonna start Reroad first. And that's game! Finally. There we go. So luckily we didn't get out Hyruled. It's fine. You know, sometimes you have to adapt like a ninja, sometimes you have a game plan going in, but you gotta play flexibly, and you know, if they're playing jank, just gotta play solid. Don't let them out jank you, and should be all good, unless they really Hyrule the ever-loving crap out of you. Alright, here we go, game 2, where you have a Thai player, I believe, D-Cross. Drag Ruler, alright. Going second, Brick Rising. Really, these are fine. These are fine. Mandra Congo, alright. So yeah, Mandra Congo, generally speaking, I quite like, but it's much more conditional and it's harder to proc. You know, you're kind of minusing yourself more so than the Hokage Gongo. So here, this is a Drag Ruler or like a just Revenger set 17 build. This is fine. So here I'm actually going to put the starter to the side because our Vanguard target can actually hit 23 key numbers by itself, and I'm confident it can fail. Here I think I'm just going to leave it. Don't need to be too aggressive. Just hold the line. Tartu, and giving too much damage to our opponent. Ooh, wait. Oh, I thought they skipped the ride phase. Yeah, giving our opponent's Revenger player too much Karen Blast can be dangerous because then our opponent's Bloodstruck Revenger is active. Helps get rid of pieces that you're already lacking, and that's not good. That's not good. Here again, I'm just gonna hold on to my cards. Just gonna put ping. We only have one grade 2 on our hand. Don't want to waste it that early. Don't mind soaking up some damage. I'm okay with that. So here, Diarmweed. Okay. Skips the Brick Ride, goes for the Diarmweed. All right, has the Blaster Dark, snipes out the starter. Probably a smart choice. Gets the counter charge, but the starter is inactive now. And being a 10k body means that it can't hit 90k numbers, so attacking with it first makes sense. Fortunately, we're gonna see a PG go to damage and one more draw trigger though. That's nice. Now, another one of the Legion. Should we Legion right now? I don't know if Legioning is the best idea, especially since we don't even have the drop zone to activate it. So maybe we're gonna go for the Brick Ride and Brick Ride play. Generally, if you have grade 2s, obviously you want to start going forward and pushing with them, but I guess in this case we don't, so that kind of sucks. I'm just gonna do this. Put the grade 1 behind the grade 2. Opponent has to hit the grade 2s, but not the grade 3s, especially less incentivized in this era where grade 3s can be put back to the deck. And so what this means is that, well, even if the grade 2 dies, well, I can replace it with another unit, and it's easier to have active columns that are ready to hit numbers, if you get what I'm trying to say. It's something I brought up a long time back, but I think it's especially relevant for decks that don't generate card advantage. Not a lot of the decks can generate card advantage these days, but unfortunately Nubatam is one of them. So here, you can stay on Diarmweed, can retire, intercept, and go for lethal by pushing to 4 plus a crit, or 5 plus a crit maybe, if they want to push to 5. Just gonna go for 4 and a crit. That's solid. That's solid. Kill the starter maybe. They might need to keep the starter, but that's okay. No trigger means that they can just sack the starter because it's probably the least valuable unit on the board. And still hit numbers, hits the draw trigger, which is good. It means that we can okay, not good, but it means that we can use the Mandara Congo twice if we draw into another copy. Maybe we did call out one of them, which is a shame. Brick Ride is Brick Ride. Really. I think this is fine. We're gonna go for the Mandara Congo Brick Ride Legion play. So here we're gonna force our opponent to bind 1. We're going to Legion. Legion, right? Yeah, we're gonna Legion. Don't really need to sack the heal because we're gonna be pushing our opponent to lethal this turn, and returning that heal would mean one less unit in the deck that doesn't generate card advantage. I feel like I repeated myself over and over again. But here we are going to use the Vanguard skill. Get rid of the intercept. Get rid of 2. Can consider using the Fuki, but that does mean that I can't actually hit numbers unless I hit a trigger, so maybe not. I'm just going to use the Tamahagane, get rid of the Dorint, and we're just going to swing for game. So that's 1. That's 2. 3 cards left in hand, and that's it! That's it! Crazy, and that's it. That's game. So I hope the first game is a bit janky. The second game is a lot more solid. I guess slightly better rep. No Legion, proper Legion matchup, but that's what I have for today. Generally speaking, try to synergize your plays between binding from the board and binding from the hand, and trying to work around it. Generally speaking, maybe the discard stuff might not synergize well in this or work well in this metagame because sometimes you just want to discard stuff to Legion, but you don't necessarily have to get rid of those cards. Sometimes just taking them out from play temporarily is enough to go for game. So that's basically it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. A lot of you asked for it, so here it is. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already. More than 50% of you are not subscribed, which makes me really sad. So if you enjoy the videos, of course, subscribe so you don't miss out, and then we're both happy. So that's it from me for today. Hope you stay safe and maybe give this a try. Tweak around and find what works for you. Definitely not saying that my deck profiles are the best, but I hope it is a good place to start, and maybe you can consider some of my perspectives or opinions and thoughts and apply it to your own game. So that's it from me today. Thank you so much, and hope to see you all in the next video. Bye. Today we're going to be doing a deck profile on one of the 2 event clans from